financial education and cost-saving tools for individuals worldwide. For more information, visit QveraGlobal.com. Kuvera, an InvestView company.
Hey, welcome back. We're breezing through a ton of fun in hour one of Liquid Lunch today. It's a Merry Money Monday edition of Liquid Lunch. And on Money Monday, we don't just talk about money, although the markets are doing fantastic, well above 28,000. In my view, looking at 30,000 by the end of the year. We also bring on the money guests. And joining us today via Skype, one of the best there is in the country and possibly the world, Professor Alan Dershowitz joins us. He's the author of Guilt by Accusation, Proving Innocence in the Me Too Era. Professor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
So, Professor Dershowitz, there's so much going on. We just talked about it in the last segment about how the country overall is fatigued by impeachment. My question to you is this, and I follow this stuff closely, but I think people who don't, some people think the president is out of office. Other people think he's formally impeached. As one of the foremost attorneys on the planet, can you explain to us, if the House does not actually present articles of impeachment to the Senate, is the president formally impeached?
I think so. There's nothing in the Constitution that requires articles of impeachment, certainly nothing that requires presenting them to the Senate. There is the congressional record. You open the congressional record, and it says there was a vote to impeach. It sets out the articles of impeachment, and it sets out the yeas and the nays. The Senate now could start on the day after New Year's, could appoint the Chief Justice to come in and preside and say the trial has begun. If, on the other hand, my friend and colleague Larry Tribe is right, that the president hasn't been impeached, or my friend and colleague Noah Feldman is right, then he ought to be clear. There would be an announcement by Pelosi saying, whoa, every newspaper in the country is wrong. Rescind all the headlines. The president has not been impeached. We only voted to recommend impeachment, but until the articles are sent, he is not impeached. They have to make up their mind. They can't have it both ways. The one thing that's clear is that Professor Larry Tribe is completely wrong when he says that you can impeach and just never send it to the Senate. Having it hang over his head for the rest of his life, being the third president ever to be impeached and no opportunity to be acquitted, that would be so unconstitutional. It would be as if a prosecutor said, look, here's this guy. I know I can't convict him. I know he's innocent, but I can get a grand jury to indict him. I'm going to get my grand jury to indict him by a vote of 13 to 12. Then I'm going to do nothing. I'm not going to charge him. I'm going to hang it out there, let him be indicted for the rest of his life with no opportunity to be tried. Now, the Constitution does provide for a speedy trial in the Sixth Amendment, and you would expect that those same policies would apply for impeachment as well. The president's entitled either not to be impeached or to be tried. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, if Saul Walker were around today, he'd say that a grand Congress could indict a ham sandwich or impeach a ham sandwich. But I do want to ask you, Professor, about your book, Guilt by Accusation. You were prompted to write this by being accused with no evidence of some nefarious conduct somehow related to Jeffrey Epstein.
Right.
I mean, you're in a different position than most people because you're so prominent and so well known. But if anybody is accused of anything in the workplace, how do they go about proving their innocence?
Well, that's why I wrote my book. In my case, I have secret emails that was suppressed in which she admits she never met me, in which she claims she saw me once talking business with Jeffrey Epstein. I have her own manuscript. I have her interview with the FBI, all of which acknowledges she never met me. I never did anything wrong. Her own lawyer says in a tape-recorded conversation, it's impossible for you to have been there. She's wrong, simply wrong, and yet people still believe it. There's no amount of evidence that can persuade somebody you're innocent if somebody with a long history of lying accuses you. This is a woman who claims that she saw Tipper Gore and Al Gore on Epstein's Island. Tipper Gore and Al Gore have never met Epstein. She claims she saw other people. She claims she was 14 when she met Epstein. She was over 17 when she met him. She's lied about everything. She's committed perjury over and over again in court. And yet people believe her. I have my records, travel records of every single day in the 2 years that she knew Jeffrey Epstein. I can prove that I wasn't in any of the places she claimed to have met me. And yet people believe it. So I've lived a completely a good life in terms of my wife and my relationships and my personal life, and yet they can accuse me, and I have all the evidence, and they can still believe it. If it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody, which is why I wrote the book. I hope people will read it, give it to your sons and your nephews and your uncles, because you have to know how to combat this kind of false charge. It's spreading. It's spreading, and it's getting very serious. Today, if you accuse somebody, that's it. It's the end of their career. Everything they've accomplished in life is erased. The 92nd Street Y, which has had me talk every year for 25 years, suddenly won't allow me to talk. They know I'm innocent. They say that, but they say, since you've been accused, we don't want any trouble. It's McCarthyism anew, the same McCarthyism I experienced in the 1950s as a college student.
Boy, oh boy. Well, thank you so much, Professor Dershowitz. If you're watching at home, you want to go out and you need a last-minute stocking stuffer or a gift for somebody you really care about, you got to go out and get guilt by association, because our
Guilt by accusation.
Guilt by accusation, which is happening more and more in the social media sphere, because word spreads, and then although our criminal justice system goes by innocent until proven guilty, it seems more and more these days people are guilty until proven innocent. Professor Dershowitz, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll take a quick break. More Liquid Lunch right after this.